Welcome to the PrimeSpan Podcast, where we talk about aging, mental health, and living well in the years that matters the most. Each week, we cut through the noise to focus on what actually helps you feel clearer, steadier, and more in control as you age. If you're navigating the second half of life or thinking ahead, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Living to 100 isn't really the win. What if the real prize is waking up at 85, still able to travel, laugh, and play with your grandkids? Welcome back to PrimeSpan Podcast. I'm Adam, your host and navigator on this journey. And this show is where science meets lifestyle so you can live better and longer. For years, I said I wanted to live to 100. But I never asked myself the most important question. What condition will I be in? That's the heart of today's episode. And with me is my team, my co-hosts, my co-founders. I will ask a question, and I'd just like each one of you to just do a rapid fire answer for this first question. When you hear the word lifespan, what comes to mind? And also, what comes to mind when you hear the word Healthspan?
Lifespan for me would be age is the first thing that comes to mind. Healthspan, first thing that comes to mind, joy.
Oh. Kassandra, I saw you.
Yeah, how lifespan, I think of years lived, number of years lived. That's what comes to mind. And then healthspan is just how many of those years was it actually healthy?
Mm-hmm. Shannon, Allyson, what do you think?
I lean more towards what I thought the definition is, what Kath said. But I would challenge that we all live to 120. Let's add another 20 years of health span into lifespan. That's how I think of it.
Mm-hmm.
My thought on lifespan is, I had a hard time imagining this before because my grandparents didn't live too long. They only lived into their 70s. So I didn't really know what that would be like for someone to live longer. But being in aging services, seeing people live really long lives, it gave me a better idea of that people can live long, but are they living in good health? Are they healthy living long?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love everyone's definition. I have a story. I have a close friend who is older than me, and she's always talked about aging like a old car with all of this duct tape. Duct tape when the side mirror are falling apart, you duct tape it, and the the wheels are falling apart. You have to put this repair things, and exactly what we're all talking about. Lifespan is how many miles are on that vehicle, and healthspan is if it still runs, and whether you even want to drive it. It's almost the same thing. And she would always tell me back then when we would go places together, she said, I feel like I'm this old person that I need to put duct tape all over me because I'm falling apart as an old person. And I would, as I was preparing for this episode, I remember what she was telling me about lifespan and healthspan. And this friend of mine, I think is one of the an inspiration when it comes to healthspan, because looking at her life, I I think she has a really good health span as I'm looking.
That's a great example, Adam.
It is. I want to put a quick research here because I thought there's a lot of research that's coming out about this idea or this the idea of health span and lifespan. But I wanted to put a reference because this is a deeper topic for our listeners. But it probably be good if we have some reference just to back up some of the research. A global study published in the Lancet journal showed that in the last 30 years, the average human lifespan went up more than 10 years. Let me repeat that. The average human lifespan went up more than 10 years. But health span, years lived in good health, only went up to 6, which means the average person now spends the last decades of or more of their life in decline. So, which is a very important topic. Why we built PrimeSpan, but this is also why we're talking about this topic today. This is a lot of the people that people are living longer, but then the quality of their life, the health span, is not increasing as the same rate as the quality or the length of their years. I have a question for everybody here. Why do you think society still measures the success of life still looking at lifespan rather than health span? Because that still is not the main focus of so many people. People still look at the length of your years. People still don't look at it from the quality of your years. So why do you think that's the case?
I was thinking about that, Adam, earlier. And I thought to myself, in part because, of course, 60, 70, 80, 90 years ago, people just weren't living that long. Like I looked at just over 100 years ago, in 1920, only 0.06% of the population lived to 90 and over. So I think as the years went on, the fact that there were new medications and new interventions that could increase that lifespan became like the flashy new thing, and how amazing it was that we're able to live longer. And then that became the focus because obviously it was a huge turnaround when you're talking about nowadays. We all know plenty of 90-year-olds, but you wouldn't have known that many back in the early 1900s. So I think it became a big part of the focus. And now we don't know how to get everybody's focus into the health span realm because it's, wow, what a victory. People are living longer. But wait, is that the victory?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. It is a huge problem. Any other thoughts? I'm curious what anyone, perhaps a biggest myth that we all see people believing about aging well.
I think it's that we think we have time, but as we see, like we're already, almost towards the end of the year, and it's like, wow. So we really need to take care of what we think we need to take care of daily and monthly so that we can prevent the things that we have control over now. Or if, you're listening and you're older, there are certain things that you can definitely do to prevent various things in later life, to have a better quality, or as we're saying, a better health span in the 80s, 90s, and 100s. Because they say now, 50 is the new 40 and 60 is the new 50. So it is coming like a thing because people are feeling younger as they are aging. I feel like now people are aging like fine wine.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we maintain that into the 90s and 100s too?
I was thinking about this also. I think we try to avoid aging. You know, what can we do to make ourselves younger? What can we take? What can we do to avoid all signs of aging and try to like hold on to our youth as much as possible, and try to wanting to feel younger than we did. But I think that true aging is not about stopping the process. It's more about like embracing the journey you're on and adapting to that change and finding purpose and joy in the journey and just kind of living that good quality of life. I think some people think that you just don't have control over your aging process, but we do. We definitely can control it. It just, you have to be guided.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest problem that we all face, that embracing of how we age, that because that aging aspect has a negative connotation. But we're here to change that. We're trying to change that here at PrimeSpan, but it is a big problem. It's hard to get off that cycle.
I had written down too, Adam, and Allie sparked this. I love what Shannon said about how I wrote the biggest myth about aging well is that you have to accept that with aging will come adversity. And I think you do have to embrace adversity because we'll all face it, especially as we age. But there's a lot that we do not have to accept about what people tell us about what aging means and what comes with aging. And that is the other purpose, of course, of PrimeSpan is we don't want anybody feeling that they're alone or that they're lost. Many people have shared with Allie and myself that they do exactly what Shannon's saying. They do not feel 70. They do not look 70. They do not feel 70. And that's excellent because that means you have all the more time to take the things that are in your control into your power. Fabulous.
I'm curious, what do you think is one habit that people chase that doesn't really improve health span, and one overlooked habit that actually does?
I think for the one habit that people chase is to keep going and work hard and put all your energy into working in your career. And not to say that that's not important, but we go, and we don't give ourselves time to breathe or rest. And I think, I mean, a common saying that you might see is, "Oh, I'll rest when I'm dead," or "I'll sleep when I'm dead." And that's a huge myth that people need to just drop and stop using that, because you're compromising your longevity. You know, again, what's the point of working so hard if you can't take a step back and enjoy, whether that's now or your later years? You know, you've neglected your health because you worked tirelessly and didn't find that balance that was needed. And now you either don't have that sense of community around you because you didn't foster those relationships when you were younger, or you've just, worked yourself to the ground to where you are, having to rely on others to help you, and you become dependent through seeking more of that independence and freedom later in life.
Do you think that is personality type or gender type or certain people that sometimes goes for that type of excuse, Kaz? Um, there's because this is so mainstream, like especially I've heard people say this, like, oh, people sometimes brag when people will say only sleep 5 hours a day or 4 hours a day when I'm speaking. It feels like me, but it's terrible. It's like a confession right here, but I'm not proud of that. I just want to admit that to our audience. That's something that I continuously try to work on. But from a mainstream perspective, there's so many people out there who, to your point, people would say, oh, sleep when I'm retired or when I'm dead. And do you think that people are glorified when you think that you're invincible or certain things? What do you think about, is this a certain attraction to personality, or what's your opinion?
I think it's a combination of all. It could be a product of your environment, how you grew up. Maybe you grew up with not having stability financially. So now you're putting your all into working so that way you don't have to have that insecurity, looming around you, or that stress. I think that if you're looking at it from gender, this might be a little controversial, now, but maybe still it's, women feel like they have to work harder just to, achieve the status that a man might. That could be something. I'm not saying that's true, but I'm just, throwing that out there. It could be gender, related. I also think that it might be just that was what was instilled in you at a young age from family, from people that you admire. So you've adopted that principle, that lifestyle to, just work really, really hard, and you don't know any other way of life.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. And I honestly think that right now where our culture is, I think people have been moving away from that and really trying to look at, okay, how do I live a qualitative life, but still be able to find the success that I'm seeking, the financial stability. Like, how do I do that? So not working harder, right? But working smarter. We hear that too. And I think that we're at that point where people are trying to find, okay, what is the common ground? How can I meet both of these goals?
I have a follow-up on that. And you just made me think about something, and I'd like to hear everyone's thought here. I think we're all been exposed in healthcare. It's a two-part question. Why do you think we pour billions into end-of-life care and miracle drugs, but so little into prevention when it comes to care? And then, do you think that healthcare system would actually benefit when we chase lifespan instead of health span?
Oh, we're getting into conspiracies.
I have to take you guys something deep here,
Okay, so going back to the question of why aren't we focusing in on the preventative? And I think it comes down to, I'll just do that later. I have time. That's not an immediate threat to my health right now. And, again, a misconception, but it's maybe people don't have that, within their circle. So why am I going to wait? Why am I going to start doing this now? Like, I can do this later. I was talking to someone the other day and they said, because they smoke cigarettes, and I said, oh, when are we going to stop doing that habit? And, by the time I turn 30, and I'm like, why wait? Why not start now? And I think that people think that there's just this endless amount of time to fix, some of these lifestyle habits that we've adopted.
Mm.
I think
I
Cass is
also
right,
agree,
Adam.
Cass.
Oh, go ahead, Allie.
Oh no, I said I also agree. I wrote that for my note that people just don't make time for it. And I think if they're not exposed to the resources, they're not educated about it, then they're just unaware.
Mm-hmm.
Comes back to the awareness. Jessica, go ahead.
I think the other thing is exactly what Allie and Cass are saying, is it's being put off. And then the moment comes when things aren't going as well and people begin to panic. And so they begin to, because of all of us have the fear of the unknown and the fear of death, then it becomes, okay, now's the time to spend the money and take these measures, essentially because, of the fear of dying, which is a very real fear. But again, back to exactly what we're talking about, what if it didn't have to be this end of life panic?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what the goal is here with PrimeSpan and everything we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just when you think, go ahead, Cass.
I was going to go back to the healthcare question, and does healthcare benefit when we're preventative medicine or preventative therapies? How long do you have to wait to see your doctor nowadays when you're making an appointment? Sometimes it's a month out, 2 months out. It's not super easy and convenient for people to go and get that baseline checkup. And then you do tests, blood work, etc. And then that's not immediately available for you. And you have to wait for the doctor to interpret or share. And that's another month or two out. So you're, taking time off work to go to the doctor. And then you're just not immediately being met with, okay, here's what you need to know. And also the urgency. So if you are dealing with a health condition or a health crisis, you really aren't helped until it is a crisis or it is a condition. Why aren't we trying to help everyone and give them the information they need before it becomes an issue?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a very good point. I want to pivot us away from something here that a little bit more constructive. And when I hear all of your thoughts, if you could design your final 10 years, what would they look like? And what are you doing now to make that possible? Because that's so important, right? As I read the stats earlier, the quality of life of your last 10 years is the decline. But as we were talking about this is what PrimeSpan is designed for. 55, 65, 75, so that last 10 years of your life, you could actually influence it. And so if you could design your final 10 years, I'm curious. It's probably good for listeners to know, because we're not perfect. Probably all of you heard me. My sleep is one of my worst enemy. And it's not a lack of deep sleep. It's a lack of amount of sleep.
We're working on that.
The magnesium works actually, Shannon. So thank you.
Sorry.
The magnesium that you prescribed works for me.
It's a God-given thing. Let me tell you, it's a natural mineral. We all lack it some way. To answer your question, that was a very deep question. And wow, what my last 10 years, I hope, actually, let me take that back. I will make it like this, to continuously travel the world with my husband and be surrounded like I am with people that I love and they equally love me, and to be able to be active with my future grandkids. That is my picture perfect last 10 years. Now, what am I doing now? Look, it's an everyday struggle to wake up early, get the workout done, eat clean as much as possible. But it's self-motivation every day, to go to the workout class or go on the treadmill, or let's pack at least 1 or 2 meals so you have that already before you go to work, or prep the food so you're not going out and eating something that's bad for you. It's a constant reminder to have this routine, and that's what I do right now. And I'm excited for my last 10 years now that I manifested it.
It's a beautiful 10 years.
Thank you. So that's what I am doing, will be doing. And I hope all of you guys are alongside me.
Well, we will be there. And then this is what PrimeSpan is all about.
Yes.
We'll be there, Shannon.
Yay.
She's going to give us magnesium all the time.
Everyone, time to go to sleep. Take this 30 minutes before you would like to wind down.
Get your minerals.
Get your minerals in. No one talks about how important they are.
Correct.
I also, I really love what you said, Shannon, because it's kind of similar to what I was thinking too. As someone who's trying to figure out my current decade of life, it was also a tough question for me. But in the same kind of theme, I want my final 10 years to be joyful, peaceful, fun and engaging. I want to be able-bodied, whatever that means. And I also want to be surrounded by the people I care about and positive attitudes. What am I doing now to make it possible? I think that it's, like you said, making conscious decisions and kind of having a goal towards that, and making small goals. I think it's hard to do everything at once. So if I decide, okay, this week I'm going to, incorporate more fruits and vegetables, or I'm going to set my goal to work out 2 or 3 times a week for 30 minutes. Setting those small goals, I think, is how I'm trying to be successful instead of just trying to do it all at once, because that seems really overwhelming.
Mm.
I would say, Adam, for me, I envision being by the water in my last 10 years. So I would no longer be inland. And like everybody else said, being around family and loved ones. I would love to be spending a lot of time swimming and a lot of time playing tennis. And so what am I doing now to make that happen? I'm trying to, stay active. I shared in the community yesterday that I was back at a high intensity workout yesterday. It felt really good to be back working out and sweating. But then I think about what Cass said, to live by the water, one must have a little bit of money, but we don't want to be work. So you have to find the balance. And so that's what I think it is just finding the balance, having the goals, but knowing how you can balance your wellness in pursuit of your goals.
We will get that strip at the Manhattan Beach.
Yes.
Compound, 5 houses.
Exactly.
PrimeSpan compound right there. That's
fabulous.
PrimeSpan property, a prime property. That's going to be part of it. Yes.
Shannon always talks about manifesting. So, you know,
we're doing it.
Everyone can choose their body of water. We'll visit each other.
My wife would join that right away. She will talk about it. I'm sure she's going to listen to this and she's going to say, why do you drop my name on this conversation? Cass.
My design is all of the above, plus a fabulous, outrageous outfit and a glass of wine in hand daily. But in all honesty, it's really having family, friends whoever's still alive, hopefully everybody around me, and really just being in a place of gratitude, and I've made it. Here I am. What am I doing to achieve that now? It's really just building on being active, really pushing that. That's where my focus is at right now. Just being active, moving, training, running. That's my biggest, and being active, being routine and disciplined about it. So, but we're in the middle of it. I just got to stick with it after I achieve this goal.
I love that. I love that, Cass. I guess I have to say something too about this piece, and I will join the. See, I get emotional when I think about my last 10 years, because I always said before, I only want to live up to 70. And then my wife would tell me, no, you have to live longer. And I like what Shannon is saying, 120. So I'm going to join the 120 band. That's going to be since 70 is quite short, I guess. So 120 is going to be the goal. And to be honest, as I'm getting older and older, my view in life has changed so much that I would love to be around kids and grandkids, and actually being closely being around you guys still at 120. I mean, our kids and our grandkids will be closely related and friends, and that's one of the goal. Hopefully that, during that time they're all going to live a PrimeSpan life, and it's something that I could see Shannon giving us all magnesium and like candies.
Adam, I envision you're going to be still innovating and creating. You're going to be the first 100-plus-year-old entrepreneur starting up a business.
Yes. They're going to invite him on Shark Tank.
Yes.
100 years old.
and it's not in line with what I was sharing earlier about constant work, but I think that's you're just so driven and you enjoy, you enjoy it. So
I enjoy, what it is, Kaz? I enjoy creating a sense of a family at the end of on a regular basis, and I find myself creating families on a regular basis. So, like us here, founders, and I ended up creating another family in a way, and so that drives me a lot, and I'm hoping that in the next 10 years. Or 10 years in my last years in my life, that's going to be the same thing. And what am I doing to accomplish that is, I think first, I need to continue to exercise, eat properly. Stress is number one killer, as we all know. And I need to make sure I manage that really well. And sleep is, as I know, is one of the other issue, and that's probably the most big issue that I have to address. That's going to be something that I have to manage. So if I want to go to 120.
I was thinking about something, Adam, since you were kind of talking about the last 10 years, and I think that if people, if there was a way for us to know when our time would come, would that make a difference for people? If you knew when your last 10 years would be, would you make adjustments to how you live your life?
That is a very good question.
I love that question.
I think that question deserves another podcast.
I completely agree. That thing that in itself is what
I think, yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Adam. That's just wow, Allie. You put us into thought, Adam. And now
Yes.
Allie's doing the spin-off.
Yeah, it just made me think more, as we keep having these discussions, it just allows space to think about other things. And it just made me, if I had a choice, okay, I'm only gonna live to be 85 or 90, what do I have to do now to make adjustments, or what would I want to do to adjust how I want to live those last 10 years?
Yeah.
For our listeners, that's a very, very good thought to ponder. That I think it's a good reflection for them to think about. And as we're coming to a close here, it's probably something that they could think about, a thought that they could look at for just as they listen to his podcast and as they finish the podcast. That's a very powerful reflection. And thank you for bringing that up, Allyson. It's a very thought-provoking and very deep reflective idea, because you do have a choice to do. You have choices, so you could do something now. Cass, you were going to say something.
No, I'm saving my answer for when we go into that podcast. Saving it.
Jessica,
Leave them on a cliffhanger, Cass. That's how you do it.
Yep.
there you go. Jessica, can you share with our listeners how can they join PrimeSpan, just in case this is their first time listening to our podcast?
Absolutely. We would love for you to visit. First and foremost, you get a lot of information on the podcast, but our website is fabulous and really does an incredible job of representing our mission. So we encourage you, to go to primespan.life. Just type in primespan.life. I just did it today, to look at more of what we're all about. And then if you're ready to join, you can join and use the PrimeSpan platform on your desktop, or you could download the app on Google Store or Apple Store. And I do want to mention, and I've been contacting people, Allie's been contacting people, that we've been offering an incredible offer, but that offer is going to be ending soon. And so if you want to sign up and get a really significant trial of the platform, please do so this week. Because that offer is probably going to end come next week. And any questions at all, support@primespan.life, and your email will be answered within 24 hours. Adam, did I miss anything?
No, I think you did a very good job of sharing with our listeners. And I just want to reference, just in case anybody listens to this to a later date, it's September 16 today, and just in case you listen to this on a later date, that means that promotion that Jessica's sharing might be passed by that time. But for those of you who would listen to this as we release the episode, I agree. Please take advantage of it. Any last thoughts or any last words for our listeners before we close this episode? To all of our team here.
We love our PrimeSpan community. That's my last words.
Okay. Well, remember, longevity isn't about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Until next time, keep living better and longer.
Thank you for spending time with us. If today's conversation gave you clarity or steadiness, take that with you. We release new episodes weekly. Follow the PrimeSpan Podcast on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep living well.